Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are, everybody. Welcome back to our next webinar in our series. My name is Kyle King. I'm the Managing Director of Capacity Build International and joined here today with Harold Drager from Teams and also Gonzalo Velasco from Spain. So today, and I'm just going to go through a really quick introduction and we'll get started. This is the 2022 webinar series, building upon what we did last year in International Models and Emergency Management. And today we're going to be talking about Spain and get some information about Spain's system for emergency services and also emergency management. And again, so I just said, I'm Kyle, I'm joined by Harold and also Gonzalo in terms of the presentation today. And we are going to just give a real quick recap in terms of the webinars that we did last year. So 23 webinars, about over 1,800 attendees, 74 countries, 12 national models, and 7 partner organizations. And so since you're here and you're joining us, go ahead and let us know where you are and where you're joining us from. Let us know in the chat. And also just a reminder about the Q&A feature. There's the Q&A feature down at the bottom of the screen there. If you do have any questions, just use that feature because it allows us to record and track those questions and answer them later on. Sometimes things get lost in the chat, so that's the best option to do to use in case you do have a question in and of itself. And for 2022, we're doing things a little bit differently this time around. So we do have our monthly webinar series that will continue as an example of today. And we also have a biweekly podcast coming out from CBI, which is called Crisis Conflict Emergency Management, which is also sponsored by Teams. And we have the 2022 Teams Annual Conference coming up, and then also a new Teams community as well. And so that is a different type of content that's all coming out, and it continues to evolve and get better and better, in my opinion, anyway. And so we have recently launched the first edition of the Crisis Conflict Emergency Management newsletter. So there's around 5,500 plus people that have already subscribed to that. So if you're coming from the emergency management or the crisis management or international security type perspective, this is a great newsletter to sign up for and get some additional information and insights about what we're doing, both with Teams and all the different projects, as well as what's happening globally in the field as well. A slightly different perspective from what you might be used to, so it's a little bit more refreshing, I would think. And there's also the podcast. So the podcast done in cooperation with Teams as well. We just launched this one. First one just came out. That was with Lucy Easthope talking about disaster recovery. And we actually met Lucy last year in our webinar series from the University of Manchester, talking about disaster recovery and what it takes to sort of recover from COVID. And that was an excellent experience. So we asked her to come on the podcast as well. If you would like to be on the podcast, if you have something you'd like to talk about, simply send me an email and I'd be happy to be able to talk about that with you. So as far as what's coming up, so we did our kickoff session with Teams in January, and we have Spain now today, and then coming up in March, we're going to have a presentation from Italy, and we'll be filling out those presentations every month as we move along. So now I'll turn it over to Harold. Harold, over to you.
Thank you, Kyle, and hello everybody, wherever you are. And I would like a warm welcome to Gonzalo. I really look forward to listen to him. But I believe that all of you are aware of what happened this night, and I think it's a sad day first of all, for Ukraine, Europe, and the whole world. And I don't think that shouldn't be mentioned, that need to be mentioned today. And those who have been with us before know that Victoria is based in Ukraine, and she's safe as far as we know. And we Teams have many friends and members in Ukraine, so we like to give them our wishes to come through this in the best way. It's sad, but also wars and conflicts are part of the emergency management. So we will go on with our series and learn from that, but that should have been unnecessary in the world we have. And I've lived for a long time. So back to the Second World War. So what we see now is something similar. I was a kid at that time, but this is a terrible situation. I wanted to say that and hope for the best, and we'll follow it closely. And then over to you, Gonzalo. Thank you.
Thanks, Harold. And so, Gonzalo, we will turn it over to you for your presentation.
So thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Capacity Building International and teams, for giving me this amazing opportunity to share with all of you our emergency management from Spain. I'm Gonzalo Velasco. I'm a professional firefighter and also UNDAC and EUCPT member for the European Commission and the United Nations. I'm not an English native speaker, so if I've made any mistakes, sorry for that, and try to not be very, very hard with the questions. So I'm going to, this presentation is organized in 5 different parts. First, a short introduction about Spain in the world. After that, the emergency management system in Spain, emergency management phases, our national perspectives, and my own perspective about the COVID-19 management of the pandemic, because I was part of the coordination management teams in the Madrid municipality. So I will give you my own perspective about this situation. About my background, as you can see, I've been a firefighter since I was a child, but after that in 2013, I started to be a professional firefighter in the Madrid City Council, where I'm working currently. Before of that, in 2008, I was a forest firefighter in the Madrid region. Now in the Madrid Fire Department, I'm in charge. A part of my task in the as a professional firefighter, doing rescue activities and working on duty 24 hours. I'm in charge of the international relations unit. So I'm in charge to contact with other fire departments. So if anyone wants to arrange something with the Madrid Fire Department, can write me. You have my email, and we can organize something, some exchange or something similar. In 2019, I've participated in the Union Civil Protection Mechanism courses. In 2019, I was working as an expert evaluator in different calls in Horizon 2020 and in the Green Deal. And the last year, in 2021, I've participated in the UNDAC induction course in Kenya, in Nairobi. So now I'm inside the roster of the UNDAC members of the United Nations. Okay, about Spain. What is Spain? No, in the world. As you know, Spain is member of the European Union, the United Nations, NATO, and a lot of different international organizations. We have a good advantage because of our language, because there are 546 million people speaking in Spanish around the world, which represents 6% of the total population, more or less. And this is very, very useful for us, no? Because we have good relations with all of this part of Latin America. Our civil protection system is organized in 3 different levels, the national one, the regional one, and the local one. And our Agency for International Development and Coordination is based in 48 different locations around the world. This is the map of Spain. In Spain, we have 47.5 million people, more or less. And we have a decentralized system. It's organized in different autonomous communities. This is the map of Spain, and all of these are different autonomous communities. We have also 2 autonomous cities in Africa, Ceuta and Melilla, and each of these autonomous communities is divided in different provinces. So this is very important because all of these regions are organized by different regional government. So this affects too much to the emergency system. For example, it's not the same this part in Madrid, in the center of the country. In Madrid, they live around more or less 6 million people in this space, but in Castilla-La Mancha or Castilla-León, they are only living maybe 1.8 million or 2 million people. So it means the population in the rural areas, they are more distant from the cities, they have less economic resources, So all of this influence. It's very interesting at time that we have to manage the emergencies, in these rural areas. About the natural hazards, we have forest fires in the whole country. In the south part of Spain, sometimes we have earthquakes, but not really intense. We have the Canary Islands, which are volcanic islands. So this is the main risk in this part of Spain. And in the east side of the country, sometimes we have floods because of the heavy rains. The rural areas, as I said, they have low population density. The response time is over the average. And as they have less economic resources, sometimes they have to organize the fire services or the police departments in a regional, with the regional government. But that is not really common. So I will move in the next slide to this part. The emergency management system in Spain, as I said, is organized in 3 different levels. In the local level, we have the local fire brigades and the local police departments. 95% of the local fire brigades and local police department depends on the municipalities. So each of fire brigades is completely different than the other one. In the regional level, the second level, they coordinated in the regional level the emergency medical service, and sometimes the fire brigades and autonomous police, the regional and autonomous police, but there is sometimes only some 5% of the fire brigades are regional. The most part is in the local level. And we have the national level with the emergency military unit, the National Police Service, and the Director General of Civil Protection and Emergencies. In the national level, the Ministry of Interior is the highest authority in charge of the Spanish civil protection, and the Directorate General for Civil Protection and Emergencies is the highest technical authority. Their functions is communication campaigns. The Director General of Civil Protection coordinate different communication campaigns for the citizens, do the international relations in civil protection. The Minister of Internal Affairs is the focal point within the Union Civil Protection mechanism. They support other regional administration in civil protection. They draft self-protection plans and, of course, do campaigns about self-protection for the citizens. And as a national authority, they have the responsibility to arrange cross-border agreements with Portugal and France. In the national level, we have the National Civil Protection School, which is coordinated by the Director General of Civil Protection and Emergencies. About the police departments, we have the National Police Department, which is in charge of the citizen security in urban areas, and the Guardia Civil which is in charge of the citizen security in rural areas. But also, Guardia Civil has responsibilities and competencies in mountain rescue, dive rescue, and maritime rescue, usually shared with the fire brigades in different parts of Spain. And the last one in the national level is the Emergency Military Unit. They are in charge, or they can participate in regional emergencies in level 2 if they have bilateral agreements or they are requested by the regional governments. Of course, they participate in the national emergencies when the level 3 is declared, and they can participate in international emergencies because the Emergency Military Unit has certified a medium user team, water search and rescue team, cave search and rescue, and ground forest fires teams. About their specialization, they are specialized in user activities, forest fires, CBRN, flood rescue, snowstorm, environmental emergencies, shelter, and so on. They are organized in 5 battalions, distributed among Spain, and they have around more or less 3,500 military personnel. Now we are moving to the regional level. In the regional level, we have the autonomous communities, as you see in the map before. and they have the responsibility to coordinate their territories. They have the emergency direction and coordination in their territories. The emergency medical service are from the autonomous communities. So we have 17 we have 18 because we have one exception in Madrid City, emergency medical service, depending on the regional level. And sometimes, as I said, we have regional fire brigades and regional police departments, but there is not really common. They are in charge also for the regional legislation and training in their respective territories. So the civil protection authorities draft the territorial and special civil protection plans and coordinate and organize the regional civil protection schools. This is an example about the emergency medical service in Spain. As I said, we have 17 plus one in the Madrid city, but is one exception. All of them depends on the regional level. But as you can see, all of them are completely different. This is the ambulance from Castilla y León. This is from Valencia, from Country Basque. So all of them are different. Depends on the regional governments, but they are different. This is another example about the regional level. This is the community of Madrid Fire Brigade. It's composed by 18 fire stations distributed among the whole region, except the Madrid municipality where I work. Okay. In my opinion, they have a lot of pros, this kind of fire service, because the emergencies are assigned by proximity, not by a municipal term. There are standardization of procedures in a vast territory. The mobility of the personnel is a really good thing. So you can work in this fire brigade, in this fire station, or in the other one in the south part of the region. And it's easy to receive support from another fire station because all of them depends on the same organization, no? In the same level. And this is the local level, level number 1, which includes the local fire brigades and the local police departments. And this is completely crazy. Around 138 different fire brigades. The data is very, very difficult because, as you can see, is from 2008. All of these fire brigades are completely different. They have different procedures, different salaries, different equipment, different tools. So they are not really interoperable between them. Because of that, this municipal system, we have a lack of accurate information. We don't know exactly how many firefighters we have in Spain, how many fire brigades, how many fire stations. There is a lack of support in case of significant emergency due to the competencies and, of course, high response time in rural areas. For example, this is my village. This is the fire station from Aranda de Duero in the province of Burgos. They have to move maybe 50, 60 kilometers to assist different emergencies. And the problem is that this is the province of Burgos and this is the province of Valladolid. They are completely different. They depend on different regional governments. So this fire station can't support to this to this fire station. So, in my opinion, of course, this is really bad, no? There is a lack of standardization in this municipality, in this local fire system. But on the other hand, we have, I can find 2 pros, which is there are more specialization in the specific local problems. For example, here we have a river, so the fire department has a boat. So there is more specialization in the specific local problems, and it's easy to negotiate with the local administration. But of course, I prefer the regional system. About the emergency management phases, if we move to the prevention, we have different early warning system with different agencies, like IMET is the meteorological agency, the National Water Office, different agencies, which give information to the CENEM. CENEM is the National Emergency Center, and is coordinated with the 112 Operations Center. These centers are regional, so they have to be really, really good coordinated. Of course, in each of level, in the local level, regional level, or national level, authorities organize public information campaigns, prevention regulations by sectors, self-protection campaigns. We have civil protection voluntary groups with its citizens who works as a volunteer for the civil protection system. Of course, prevention plans and emergency prevention fund. And this is exactly the same in the local level, regional level, and national level, no? Focus on the respective territories. This is some examples about prevention campaigns. They are adapted to diverse communities. And about preparedness, exactly the same. We have 3 levels, so we have 3 different ways to do the preparedness. The national school is coordinated by the national authorities, and they organize multidisciplinary trainings courses, including firefighter, emergency medical service, military, police. They organize specific courses in civil protection management. There's more focus in the management of the civil protection emergencies. And they can train the civilians, the volunteers in civil protection. In the regional schools, in the second level, we have exactly the same, but involving regional actors. And the local schools, it depends on the municipality. For example, this is a picture of the Madrid local school. This is the place where the firefighters or police go to receive their trainings. But if the municipality doesn't have enough budget, they can send the professionals to the regional schools. About the response, the local level is the level number 1. We use the local resources and with our internal emergency service procedures. But if the emergency exceeds and overcomes the capacity of the municipality, we move to the level number 2, which means that the coordination of the emergency is made by the regional civil protection authorities. And we work all together under the umbrella of the Autonomous Community Emergency Plan. We can use the regional resources in the local level, no, in the municipalities, if the level 2 is activated. And in case of war, nuclear emergency, or if the regional capacity is overwhelmed, or if the emergency affects to some, we move to the level number 3, which means the national emergency status. And of course, as a national emergency status, the general coordination is under the national authority, and the emergency military unit can support because they have the competency to work in this emergency, in this national emergency. So the militaries can work in the regional level or in the municipalities if the level 3 is declared. This is a short video about the CNM, National Emergency Center. I think, could you hear, no, the video?
Yes, we can hear. May just have to turn up a bit.
Okay. And about the last phase, the recovery phase, if the Council of Ministers declare the critical affected area by a civil protection emergency, they give economical support directly to the individuals, also directly to the local administrations, and grant to the affected companies. The most usual support after an emergency, but sometimes they can provide with tax exceptions and special labor regulations in the affected areas. About the international cooperation, Spain is part of the European Union Civil Protection Mechanism, and also we have bilateral agreements with these countries. We have 10 certified teams, 2 medium user teams certified by INSARAG, 1 EMT certified by the World Health Organization, and 1 in the certification process, because here, because of that, we have here 11, but international teams already certified are 10. And we have different modules, different teams in forest firefighting and forest fire assessment, mountain rescue, cave rescue, water rescue, and drones. This is the map of the civil protection, the European civil protection pool offer capacities. And as you can see, Spain is the second one, which offer more teams to the European solidarity. So we are very proud of it, because we have a lot of international teams certified. And the other part of our emergency system, we have I have talked about the Minister of Internal Affairs, but I want to explain something about the Minister of External Affairs. With the Spanish Agency for the Civil Coordination and Development Cooperation, they are in charge of the international humanitarian aid. This agency is the focal point between the OCHA and my country, and is the coordinator of the emergency medical team type 2 called the START, and certified with the Union Civil Protection Mechanism. This is the Spanish Technical Cooperation Office, all of them based in the Southern Hemisphere. And now I'm going to move to a little bit to the national perspective. Our national government has identified some threats who can affect to our country, floods, forest fires, and all of these threats. And in general way, they want to empower our civil protection strategy and our civil protection system, promoting and updating specific civil protection plans. They want to elaborate additional risk assessment plans, improve coordination policies between public administrations, empower the early warning systems, promote the citizen civil protection, education and self-protection, and update the recovery plans, So in a general way, they want to empower the civil protection, and the plan is from 2019 to 2024. And about COVID management, I'm going to give you my own perspective about the coordination in the municipality of Madrid. As you know, the initial situation was really, really hard. All of this is the serious world crisis, the purchase difficulties, and the stock broken is the same around the world. But we have other problems. That is the 14th of March, the state of alarm was declared in my country. So the civil protection plans have to integrate in the top civil protection plans. So after that moment, we didn't have a competency to work in our municipality system. So we had to work under the umbrella of the regional plan, no, under the umbrella of the civil protection, regional civil protection plans. Our initial measures taken was to guarantee the essential service functioning, ensuring coordination between local services, searching personal and protection equipment because we didn't have, setting up the central emergency storehouse, and manage donation and purchase and student needs and authorizing deliveries every day. We receive a lot of donations every day, so we stockpile in our central storehouse, and after that, day by day, we were delivering material to the fire department, to the police department, social services, and different emergency services. So we had a lot of difficulties at the beginning, the lack of protection equipment, human resources. We have a lot of workers affected by COVID. So it was very, very hard because we didn't have enough personnel to work. Difficulty of coordination, because normally we are used to work together between the fire service and the police department, but maybe not with the underground, the metro, or with the social services, or with the all the municipality. No, in that moment we have to coordinate the whole municipality together. We didn't have specific operative procedures, and we had a lot of difficulty using the IT software and hardware because our personnel weren't used to use this IT software and hardware. And of course, in that moment, we didn't know if the elements are contaminated by COVID or not, because we didn't have information at the beginning of the pandemic. What do we do? We set up the central storage. We draft the contamination procedures and specific procedures to manage this emergency. We did an internal reorganization. We reinforced our municipality with more staff, professional and volunteer. And we implement work from home, and nowadays it's continue. We are using work from home during these days. And we organize internal coordination meetings every day in order to coordinate the city all together. And areas for improvement that we, after the 2-3 months, we made an analysis, and our areas for improvement are the periodical update of the civil protection territorial plans, emergency service integration and coordination, multidisciplinary training and exercise. Before of COVID, we trained only our firefighters alone, our police alone, the emergency medical service alone. But now after COVID, we are organizing training for all of them together because we think that it's very, very interesting to be more interoperable. We have to draft regulation adapted to the emergency, establish a coordination committee. We have this coordination committee nowadays. Establishment of a joint purchase department in emergencies, in order to be more interoperable, as I said. And the most important thing that we have now is the new coordination center building. In that moment, the building that we had, it wasn't really good prepared to manage a big pandemic, a big emergency. So now we have a new coordination center. So here you have different reference about if anyone wants to go more in deep to this information. And thank you very much. This is my mail and my LinkedIn account. And if anyone wants to ask me for some questions, I'm here to answer. So thank you.
Okay, great, Gonzalo. Thanks a lot. So just a couple of questions that I was thinking about during your presentation was you had mentioned some of the difficulties between your regional level and what we might call a municipal level in terms of like the US, for example. But also in terms of I thought it was interesting that pre-COVID you weren't doing a lot of interagency training together, if we might call it that, but now you are. What was some of the and correct me if I'm wrong, but what were some of the reasons why the different departments were not training together? And then what have you seen as a positive improvement of coming out of that now?
I don't know, because as all of this emergency system is organized by a municipality and local level, sometimes there are a lot of difficulties because each municipality is organized by different politicians. So it's very difficult to organize a training, for example, with the Madrid Fire Department and the Toledo Fire Department, which are only 100 kilometers far away. And it's very difficult to coordinate and to convince all of the politicians that this is interesting, no? But also in my municipality, we are used to work together the emergency medical service of the city, which is called SAMUR, and the fire brigade and the police officers. But we coordinate and we train all together all of these emergency services. But we are not used to work also with the social service, for example, with the metro, with the emergency, with the transport municipality, with other parts of the municipality. So now we are trying to organize this training together. And of course, the emergencies are improving a lot, because when you have to attend a crash in a road, if your firefighters and your doctors are interoperable and they are used to work together, of course, everything is better, no? But it's difficult. It's difficult because of the organization of my country, the centralization that we have.
Yeah, Gonzalo, I saw you had something, if I understood you right, civil protection volunteer group. Mm-hmm. Was that right? Usually I see this as firefighter volunteers, but are these people getting involved in all parts of the civil protection? How many are there? And what kind of training do you provide for them?
We don't have volunteers firefighter in Spain. All of the system is made by professional firefighters. But these civil protection groups, they are called civil protection aggregation of volunteers. And they depend also in the local level. And they have responsibilities as volunteers, mostly in parts of the logistics in emergencies. They receive training, of course, basic training about civil protection management, about first aid. For example, they know how to extinguish a fire or different things, but they are not, usually in the 99% of the cases, their work is to support the professional service when it's needed, but not directly working on the emergency. It's more the part of the logistic area.
Okay, thank you.
So one question that we have, Gonzalo, and you can probably see it in the chat, but so there's a heavy focus, of course, with your presentation from your response background on the emergency response services or emergency services themselves. Is emergency management blended within emergency services, or is it independent of the first responder services? So, for example, who's responsible for mass evacuation planning, shelter planning for evacuated people, or re-entry planning for mass evacuations?
If the emergency, it's depends always in the level of the emergency. No, for example, if we have in the COVID pandemic, as the state of alarm was declared, it was a national emergency level. So, for example, the military unit can organize shelter and different things in the whole country. Also, if the national emergency is declared, is the emergency authorities, the military authorities, the colonel of the emergency military unit, which is in charge of the management of the emergency. So the municipality level only works in their respective territories, but they have to work under the umbrella of the national level. Of course, it's exactly the same to set up and to draft the special plans and the territorial plans in the management system. No, if, for example, the Madrid Fire Department works with the local authorities to draft our municipality plan. Also, the regional fire brigade works with the regional government to do the same. And in the national level, it's more focused on, or it's more organized by specialist committees who works for the national authorities, works for the Minister of Internal Affairs, with some specific people, some experts who works in this part of risk management, or this more or less that you want to know.
Yeah, good. No, that was it's quite interesting in terms of the stratification of plans and things like that, and how some sort of of course, I mean, but that makes sense, right? So in Spain, when they declared a national emergency and then sort of overrode the system and put different agencies, lead agencies, national agencies involved, so that makes a lot of sense. Okay, great. So Harold, any closing remarks from your side?
No, I enjoyed it very much. Very good slides, giving good overview. Thank you, Gonzalo. That was good.
Okay, great. Yeah, Gonzalo, thanks a lot for your time and presenting the national model from Spain. It's very interesting. And this recording, for everybody else, this recording will be up on our YouTube channel as well, and also distributed through the Teams network. And so you can check it on the Teams website as well. If you're not a member of Teams, go ahead and head over to teams.info and then sign up over there. And I think you'll enjoy some of the things that are coming out of Teams and being a member. So go ahead and take a look. And otherwise, thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks for joining the webinar, and we'll see you next time.